Another way to generate some rapid form to sculpt would actually be through kit bashing. And I've got an object here I grabbed off of Sketchfab, and in a similar way that I'm using the meta balls, I can just kind of position this geometry around. And where this will become interesting is after we remesh it, because the remeshing is going to transform it quite radically. So this is, again, totally fine for blocking out because it's not going to look anything like this, but it's going to keep some of these characteristics of the base geometry that you start with. So I encourage you to experiment a bit with that. So of course, you know, maybe this is an interesting starting point for a character, for example, and this I think is a great time to go ahead and show the remeshing. So once you're ready to remesh something, I've just joined these all by selecting them, and you can press Control J, or you can go to Object and Join. Now hopefully this isn't too unfamiliar. I'm just going to remesh here from the Modifiers panel. And this is taking a second. This is a pretty decent resolution object, so it's not going to happen instantaneously. So now it's been remeshed. This one actually held really tightly to that original form, but it would be a great place to begin sculpting from as well. You'll see though, this has a huge polygon count, and so actually to work with it, I will probably need to increase that voxel count. And this is much better to start with for sculpting anyway, because it's the less detail will actually give you more opportunities to input your own spin on the object. This is a rather large object though, so it would take quite a bit of work. I'll just drag that aside for now though. Another method that's fantastic for gray boxing is to use a skin and vertex method. So I'm actually going to add an object to the scene. I'm going to add a plane to the scene. And I don't really want a plane. I actually just want one of these vertices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Edit Mode, Vertices Select Mode, and I'm just going to select these 3 vertices and delete them. So now I actually just have a singular vertex. Where this becomes really nice actually is when I press the E key, it will extrude that vertex into a line. So I'll just go ahead and extrude a couple of times here, and this is fantastic because what we can do is add a modifier to this line, and I'm just going to add a skin modifier to that. And you'll see that that has immediately given it a thickness. And if I add a subdivision surface modifier to that, and you'll see what the subdivision surface modifier has done is it has smoothed out that geometry. I'll put an extra one on that. And now I'll go back into edit mode. While I'm in edit mode, I'll switch into X-ray so I can see the vertices. If I press Control A while I have one of these vertices selected, you'll see that I can actually impact that skin modifier. And so between pressing E to extrude and pressing Control A to adjust the thickness, you'll see that I can also really quickly generate a custom form. And this is another fantastic way to begin a sculpting process. So you'll see here, I'm just really quickly just selecting the vertices and pressing the E key, and I could rapidly generate, and I'll press Control A to scale that down a bit, press E, a kind of character, right? I've already given it 3 legs, and maybe I can give it a couple more here. Scale that down. Alright, so if I like that result from the extrusion method, which is using the skin and subdivision surface modifiers, what I can do is go to Object, Apply, visual geometry to mesh. And now we have our blockout. So those are some really essential ways to work through blocking out. And actually, I tend to use a combination of these different methods. And if you're interested in using simulations to generate this as well, I'll be showing you in the particles simulation and the liquid simulation how you could also generate a base form using those tools. Here you'll see the full set of different options, so I ended up running simulations of all 4 kinds to generate some base form, which I hope you'll find as an interesting method of generation. But of course you could use those for rendering processes instead. Up to you.